Hello and welcome to the second season of YASP, short for Yet Another Shitty Podcast.
Yes, this is our inaugural episode. Welcome back to us and to you. My name is Ali.
And my name is Amir Reza. Yeah, we are the hosts and we are joined by two guests today. Soheil, which is going probably to be considered a third host because we were going to have him on so many episodes. But technically he's still a host.
Technically, he's still a guest, not a host.
Well, that was a Freudian slip. So technically, I think that he's a host. But enough technically. Enough technical talk.
And we have another guest too. His name is Babak.
Yeah, he's so forgettable. Wow. I even forgot to introduce him. Yeah, we have Babak too.
Yes.
And
please say hello, guys.
So hello everyone. I'm Soheil, and I'm happy to be here again for yet another time.
Yes.
For yet another shitty podcast. And Babak?
Babak.
Yeah, hello guys. I want to say I hate Amir. As always, I need to state this.
Okay.
I'm happy to be with you guys.
Yes.
Okay, and we're happy to be hated by you. I am happy to be hated by you. That's an honor for one to receive. Yeah,
I'm loved. And this season we are coming to you louder, literally, and
clearer.
Yes, clearer. I have a new microphone. Can you hear the difference?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they can hear the difference. Sadly, I don't have a new microphone yet, but still, my voice was a little better than his.
Yes.
So, okay, to start things off, I think that it would be a good idea to talk about the history of because technically Nintendo Switch has been out for 3 years now, 2017. And while it is considered to be a current gen console with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and Jesus, I hate that naming. I mean, I think the naming department in the Xbox division is literally either retarded or they are like Nintendo and Sony employees trying to ruin the whole thing. It's an inside sabotage operation.
The second console was 360.
Yeah.
Which I think was like 360 degrees, like it's a circle.
No, it was supposed to mean like it's not just a gaming console, it's 360. It has everything covered. It's a media hub, it's a gaming station. It was supposed to be everything, supposedly. Okay. Which then again, Xbox One was again supposed to be the one device that does everything. If you put a retard in charge of naming things, that's exactly what you would get.
I just want to say that the views of Amir Reza does not necessarily mean the views of YASP, even though he is literally the other half of YASP.
Okay.
Before we start, though, we started, but we didn't explain what we are going to talk about. The next-gen console wars, meaning the war between the supposed PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And we are going to discuss that.
Okay, so PlayStation 1 was released in December 3rd, 1994 in Japan, and it had a North American release of September 9th, 1995. PlayStation 2 was released 4th of March 2000 in Japan. PlayStation 3, 11th of November 2006. And it was followed
in this month.
Yeah, PlayStation 4, 5th of November 2013. And PlayStation 5, 12th of November 2020. These are PlayStation 1 Sony PlayStation numbers. And as for Xbox, okay, let me wait until it loads.
Well, I mean the biggest takeaway we are going to take from that, it's Sony look at 2020 and thought, well, this year hasn't been disastrous yet. Let us put our highly contested console on a very shitty way out.
I mean, they had no other choice. So let's
Well,
get back to release dates before you poison the conversation with your conspiracy theories. Okay, jokes aside, the first Xbox, the original Xbox, and fuck you, Microsoft, for naming your consoles like that, which has made it almost next to impossible to refer to the very first Xbox console.
As Xbox One.
No, it was the original Xbox, OG Xbox. It was released on 15th of November, 2001. The original Xbox had a very short lifespan. It only lasted 4 years. It was followed in 22nd of November in 2005 by Xbox 360. And Xbox One was released in the exact same day, actually, in 2013, 22nd of November. And this one, 10th of November 2020, which was 2 days prior to PlayStation 5.
Didn't PlayStation 3 come out in 5th of November, though?
Yes, I think so. And the reason for that timing is they, of course, choose the holiday shopping season. So yeah, and that as well.
The 5th of November, the Gunpowder Treason and Plot.
It's 11th of November in Japan and 17th of November in North America.
Okay.
There is no 5th of November.
By the way, for those of you who are not familiar with Xbox namings, just so you know, currently Xbox One has a sort of an updated version called Xbox One X.
And it has a downgraded version called Xbox One S, which is a digital-only console.
Yes,
it doesn't. You can't insert discs into it,
and it's cheaper and it's less powerful than the.
Yeah, which brings us to our next topic: the pricing of the consoles in question.
Yeah.
PlayStation 1 was priced pretty reasonably, $299.
Okay, so $299 for PlayStation 1, and the same price for PlayStation 2. Then a big jump for PlayStation 3 to almost $600.
Yeah, $599.
Yeah, $599, and for PlayStation 4 it was $300 again. So they learned.
No, it's actually $399. No, it's $399.
Oh, sorry. In US, I think the Slim was $299, and for the
the Slim version is $299, but the original version is $399.
And now for the fifth one, they went up to $499. So yeah.
Yeah, but for the normal version, the digital only edition is $399. So basically, PlayStation 4 is on par with the digital edition of PlayStation 5. Which are, reasonable prices.
It's kind of the thing of the future. I'm sure pretty soon game discs, not pretty soon, but in somewhere in the future, game discs will be kind of
obsolete.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but also we need to consider inflation. I mean, $299 in 2002, for example.
Yeah, it's pretty much different from that. But on the side of Microsoft, we have $299 for the original Xbox, $299 again for 360, $499 for Xbox One, which included the Kinect. Which for some time, for at least 2 or 3 months, it was actually mandatory to use the Xbox with a Kinect. I mean, Jesus, what kind of a policy is that?
Well, it's
and without the Kinect,
Facebook is using right now.
Yeah, without the Kinect, it cost $399, which was the same as PlayStation 4. And as for Xbox Series S, is $299, and Series X is $499.
Okay, we didn't explain that. What's the difference between Series X and Series S? Series X is the bigger one. It's the better one.
It's the more powerful one.
Yeah.
It's the actual next gen one. Series S is a remnant of the older generation. I mean, Xbox One X is actually much faster than Xbox Series S. It's more powerful. And the only thing that makes Series S next gen is that the fact that it has an SSD, slower, faster actually loading times, and that's pretty much about it.
And as someone who actually plays a lot of Bethesda game, I can tell you, loading time is just part of life. We all have to just accept it. You go from one location to another.
No. Loading time is, for example, for GTA or I don't know, for
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, it was like horrible, almost.
Yeah, I mean, fast traveling in The Witcher 3. Fast traveling was a fucking pain in the ass, but when you look at the footage taken from PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X running The Witcher from the SSD, it's like instantaneous fast travels. It's actually something that gives meaning to the saying of fast travel. It's supposed to be fast. You're not supposed to be stuck in a loading for 2 minutes.
Yeah, but I was talking about Xbox One X and Series S and Series X. It's good to talk about the fact that what are they doing at the launch? Because as far as I know, there is no reason you need an Xbox Series X to play Microsoft games.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we have to tackle or cover at least the topic, the question of what exactly are these companies doing? What's the strategy? What's the business plan? What's the target audience? And how they are approaching this new generation? I think Xbox has realized that in the pure sense, in the pure hardware aspect, they are a clear loser. I mean, as is evidenced through the sales of their consoles in the past generation. So what they did was they transformed their brand. They transformed the Xbox name into a brand. It doesn't even matter where or how you play them now. I mean, it's clear that this is their strategy. They want to sell you their Game Pass, and there are many entry points into that, like the gateways into Game Pass. You can either buy their consoles, which, by the way, Sony kind of has discarded the past generation. I mean, the previous generation is pretty much done for, even though they say that they're going to support PlayStation 4 for up to 2 years, but you can feel it. They're not going to give that much attention to PlayStation 4 anymore. But Xbox is different.
Of mice and men, they're bringing the PlayStation 4 and say, let me tell you about the rabbits.
I mean, can I explain the strategy for Xbox Game Pass?
Because yeah, of course, go on.
We need to explain it a little bit.
Yeah, we need to clarify it. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, we have 3 categories. So it's Xbox Game Pass for Xbox Game Pass for PC, and there is another one, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So basically, the first 2 for PC and Xbox, these 2 are like almost like each other. So you pay $10 per month, and I think for PC you have more than 200 games. But for Xbox, it's like 50 titles more. So it's like 200.
Okay, quick question. Could you, on the same account, you make a Microsoft account, could you purchase Xbox Game Pass on your PC and be able to play with that account on your Xbox? Is it universal? That's what I'm asking.
No. I don't think that's possible, but I'm not sure. But if you get the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, then you get the PC and Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, so that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Also, I think with paying like $15 per month for this Xbox Ultimate Game Pass, you can pay it. I'm not sure. I think it's like $36. I'm not sure about this price, but you pay it for 24 months, I think. Then you get a free Xbox and you can play with Game Pass.
So they did a financing thing. So you can get the Xbox Series X if you pay $36 for 24 months. They will send you an Xbox Series X and 24 months
with a Game Pass?
Game Pass, yes. And it's the same deal for
that's a great deal.
Xbox Series S. For Series S, it's actually $29, I guess. And actually, Phil Spencer, he had an interview a couple of days ago, and he said that we're not driven by how many consoles we sell. He said that this generation is about how many players you have, not how many consoles you sold. That actually does make sense. That's the strategy of Microsoft. And it can clearly show you that Game Pass is the bigger player right now because they just want to have the players. They don't care if you're going to buy a Xbox or if you're going to play it on your computer that you bought from somewhere, some other
as
manufacturer.
Long as they're the sellers, as long as they're the orifices through which you access your games, they're making money. And a clear example of that is how much money Apple is making. Apple isn't even in the big game selling department. He is. They are. He. Why is Apple a he? Anyway, Apple is in the gaming industry somehow. Through the App Store, but they don't sell any AAA games. They are not in the big part of it. Yet they are the second most lucrative business in gaming. They are topped only by Tencent Gaming, which is basically a shareholder in everything. So I think Microsoft is trying to do that. I think Microsoft is trying to follow in the footsteps of Apple. They're like, if the players decide to buy their games from us, then it doesn't matter how many consoles we sell.
I think if you think about it, for example, just think if you pay like $10 per month, you have access to like 250 games. But for PlayStation, it's not the same. I think Soheil will explain the PlayStation schedule and the plans. But basically, you don't have enough access to all the contents from the previous platform, PlayStation 4, and also the new content for upcoming PlayStation 5. So
it's a luxury PlayStation and Sony can't afford. It's a very expensive thing. What Microsoft is doing, it's like a Trojan horse. And I think personally that when they do get enough traction, when they drive enough people into their system, into their ecosystem, they will eventually raise the prices. But for now, it's a Trojan horse.
I see it as the same thing that happened to the movie industry at the beginning of the decade with Netflix. Yeah. When Netflix came out, it was very affordable and you could see a lot of. Then came the fact that, you are not going to Netflix to watch The Office, for example. You're going to Netflix because Netflix has its own sort of programming, its own sort of ways of keeping you there. And they have raised,
exactly.
Yeah, and they have raised the subscription fee quite a lot during this past decade. But that's the thing. I think I think that's what Microsoft is also doing. It's drawing you in, come for the games, stay for the original content.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you said about Apple and what you said about Netflix. This is exactly what Spencer said in his talks. He said that what we are thinking is going to happen right now with Xbox. It's what happened with music industry, like how everyone shifted to Spotify. So like they changed the way that music were distributed. So like all the physical copies and everything.
But I don't think they're the same.
That's what
musicians.
That's
the
the
business plan is the same. But the problem is musicians aren't making that much money off of Spotify. Even Spotify isn't making much money. Because
the music industry is not as big as the gaming industry.
What are you talking about? Because if you're talking about the number of people that listen to music,
no, I'm talking about the income. Turnout of money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The income isn't that good. I mean, if you look at the 60s and 70s, musicians were living like there was no. I mean, they were rolling in it.
So that's exactly what he's saying. He's saying that you cannot say that game industry is like that because game industry there is much more money going in it. Like you see how GTA, how much money Rockstar is spending on its games.
No, you're missing my point. Musicians and record companies were making a lot of money before the digital revolution. Now they aren't making as much because of Spotify and illegal music downloads. But gaming is making this much money because people are paying $60 per game. And if you take that away, I mean, I think Microsoft is actually subsidizing games for you. They're subsidizing it because they are the underdog. They want to take you in. And the moment they know you're locked in, they're going to raise their prices substantially or even let go of Game Pass. I don't think Game Pass is something possible outside of your own games. I mean, Microsoft can keep Game Pass for their own games for 10 years, but I'm not going to buy it that they're going to keep Game Pass for every game like what they're doing right now in the long run. It's a very costly business approach that I think ultimately will either fail or cost them a lot of money.
Fatality.
I mean, I would agree with you if for one little thing, the fact that when you buy a piece of music, it's done. It's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. When you buy a movie off Netflix, it's yours. You can go ahead and watch it how many times you want. It will not ask for more money. But a lot of these games, especially the EA ones, the Ubisoft ones, the famously bad, the Blizzard ones, are asking you to keep spending in them. There is this failed concept so far of a live service game.
Yes, subscription-based income, that does make sense, but the question is why would EA and Ubisoft and all those big companies get on board with Microsoft in their Game Pass if Microsoft doesn't agree to pay them exorbitant amounts of money?
Well, that's the thing. I think it's actually, we were supposed to talk about this a bit later, but I think this is a good segue, so I'm going to use it. I think at some point, Microsoft will not need EA or Ubisoft because at some point they are going to start, they bought Bethesda, they bought ZeniMax. So at some point they are going to become an independent entity, meaning you don't need EA to draw people in. You brought them in with Fallout 76.
No, dude, I highly disagree. That is not at all gonna happen. No, because EA has the monopoly on FIFA and some other games, Star Wars, and Activision has Call of Duty. You can't survive without Call of Duty, believe me. And we have Epic Games, we have Ubisoft. There are many big companies that, no, I don't really believe that there's a future in which you can just simply overlook those big companies.
Unless you create something to compete, for example, with FIFA or, I don't know, NBA.
That's impossible because the licensing, the branding, it's something that takes the money that you'd have to spend to make a FIFA competitor is not worth it, believe me. I don't think so. I mean, Microsoft has to pour even more money than they already are into this division. And what for?
Let's mention something else, because I think we forgot to mention the Xbox xCloud. So I think, for the upside, like the positive sides of this plan. For example, if you want to play, I don't know, when
on
you
the
are
go,
in your commutes. So you can use your tablet or I don't know your phone to play.
But can you? I mean, are we there yet? Maybe 5G will resolve that problem, but right now, I think you're limited to your own Wi-Fi in the house or very close to a tower, like 4G tower, because they require a very stable and high-speed connection, which is why we have the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, but I'm, for example, I'm assuming I'm in my university, for example. I have a good internet connection, but I can't bring my Xbox to the library. Yeah, so
obviously,
So I use my tablets and the.
Yeah, that's a good deal. I mean, it's clear that it's the future, or at least part of the future, if not the future of gaming, because I believe consoles will remain for many years, for many decades to come. But I see a future in which like 30, 40, 50% of people prefer to watch on cloud-based gaming solutions like Stadia, Google Stadia, PlayStation Now.
Probably not Google Stadia, but
I mean a future in which players like that, because I too believe that Stadia will ultimately fail. Yeah, Stadia
has already failed. It doesn't have any games.
Yet they are supposed to bring their games onto it. And Ubisoft, of all the people that you would have thought would never support it, Ubisoft is one of the strongest supporters of Stadia. I mean, they're planning. They already have actually brought a lot of their games. I mean, the Division 2 is on it. Watch Dogs is on it. I mean, many things that you wouldn't expect for Ubisoft of all the companies to bring onto it. But we're not going to talk about Stadia right now.
Yeah.
Can you talk about Sony's plan?
Yeah, Sony's plan.
Okay, so
Sony's answer to Xbox Game Pass.
There is no answer.
It was actually Xbox's answer to Sony, if you think about it.
Yeah, so Sony has this thing from a couple of years before actually something like Xbox Game Pass was existing. It was like called PlayStation Now. The thing is that with Game Pass, you can download all the games and you can play it on your computer. But PlayStation Now, it only lets you to stream the games. And the problem is that from the day they started it until today, if you try to, if you see the reviews online, there are lots of people who, like, they're YouTubers with great internet connections, and they're still having problems with using PlayStation Now. But something they did when they released PlayStation 5, just because I think it was a direct answer to all the advertising that Xbox was doing, because they weren't advertising their console. They had nothing on their console. The only thing that Xbox was advertising was the Game Pass and all the deals that came with the Game Pass. One of them which was
one of the biggest blows to them was that Halo Infinite was delayed for a year, and it didn't look good at all. I mean, what they showed wasn't anything next gen.
There was another game, Medium, I think, that also got delayed.
I'm not sure. But so basically, PlayStation did something they called a PlayStation Plus collection. It's I don't know how many games on it. I think it's around 20 games. It is in no way comparable to Xbox Game Pass, but they said that if you buy a PS5 and if you have a PlayStation Plus subscription, which I think everyone who owns a PlayStation has one, then you'll get these games, which are, they called it a genre-defining, like generation-defining video games. It started from like Last of Us Remastered, like all of the best sellers of PS4 basically. Like
they're mostly Sony studio games.
Mostly Sony studio games, and with some third-party games like Batman and I don't know, Mortal Kombat, and a couple more.
There are like 20 games like Batman, Battlefield 1, Bloodborne, Call of Duty, Days Gone, Crash,
if someone was to, if someone had skipped PlayStation in the previous generation, or they simply had skipped gaming, or they weren't gamers, I think that's a pretty good deal. But for gamers, I think there aren't that many people that haven't played these games, because these games are the games that like every serious gamer played.
Yeah, I think out of those 20, I might have not played like 3 of them when they were naming the games. I think there was like only 3 of them that I haven't played, that I actually cared about. Because like, for example, one was like MK11, like Mortal Kombat 11, that I'm not a fan of. Or like, I think there was also Street Fighter, I'm not sure. But if there was in there, like I'm not a fan of fighting games.
Let's talk about something that we have so far skipped talking about. And basically, Sony was the clear winner of hardware. I mean, everyone wanted and still wants a PlayStation 5. So it's clear that Sony will make much bigger profits off of their console than Xbox. And what makes people want to be excited about PlayStation is their exclusive titles. PlayStation has God of War, they have The Last of Us, they have Uncharted, they have Little Big Planet, they have Dreams, they have
Horizon,
they have Nia, I'm not sure. They have Bloodborne, they have Dark Souls, they have
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, they have Spider-Man.
I think
the list goes on. They have Ratchet and Clank. They have
PlayStation Worldwide Studios, which it is something that Xbox is trying to like get at least some part of that experience with all the new purchases that they have. But that's the thing. Like, they have a very strong lineup of first-party games that there are studios, and they're just dedicated to make games for every PlayStation console that is on the go.
The thing is, they have a strong lineup of games. They're dedicated to making campaign games, to games that are mostly offline. They are story-driven. I mean, we're living in an age that Fortnite and PUBG and Warzone are making big bucks. And it's actually
around $7 million a day.
Yeah, and it's actually no one finds it lucrative to make story-driven games anymore. So why does Sony do it? Exactly the reason Sony does it is that so you would buy their console, you would buy their hardware. It's their selling point. It's their Trojan horse is their exclusive AAA awesome games. And Xbox's Trojan horse
on anything
console else. Yeah, that's exclusively on PlayStation. So you're like, okay. And this is what I think will happen for many of the serious gamers, for many of the hardcore gamers. I mean, personally, if I had the luxury, I would purchase a PlayStation 5 only for the exclusive titles, and then buy a Xbox Series X or anything, and get a Game Pass on it, and just start playing all the third-party games.
I mean, why would you do that, though? You can get a PS5 for exclusives, and then you can get a Game Pass for your PC and play all of the games.
No, I'm talking about someone like myself who doesn't have a very powerful PC. And just imagine you get a PlayStation 5 for $499, and you get like 20 exclusive games in its lifetime on it, and then you start paying $30 a month for 2 years. And you're good to go for the most part. I mean, that's a pretty good deal compared to paying $60 for every game. And
I mean, at some point in the future, if you are very lucky, Microsoft will buy Sony and everything will become one big monopoly. I say if we're lucky.
Actually, we would be very unlucky because then they would be a monopoly and they would charge you the
anything
price
they
of
want.
anything they want. So you're lucky that there's competition.
I mean, to be honest, I'm lucky no matter what happens because I don't have a console.
Okay, let's be on the topic because I think we have a short amount of time. So, as you mentioned, Amir, I think there are two reasons to buy PS5, at least right now. First is like the success of the previous generation, PlayStation 4. So we can see like good games for PlayStation 5 as well. And also the second one, which I like to talk about a little bit, is the hardware. And I think for all of us, the hardware is like not very important. But right now, the experience is like almost similar for PlayStation 3, 4, and also Xbox 360 and Xbox One. So right now, the jump was on the controller. So, and there are two big advancements in that system. First was the triggers, which
the resistive triggers on PlayStation's DualSense new controller.
And the second one is the haptic feedback. So I think that's a good deal. I don't know. I never experienced.
That's something nobody expected. Like everyone was expecting ray tracing and better graphics, and Sony was like, "Okay, so this controller has haptic feedbacks and it has resistive triggers." And many reviewers were like, "That's actually the most exciting thing about this new generation. That is the exciting part." And
what I
everyone
really
was like,
liked
"Wow."
about it. What I really liked about it is that they didn't like hype it up until the console was actually out, and then the day that the embargo was like gone, everyone instead of making videos about the console itself, everyone, oh, look at this controller, it has all these things that are very cool.
And the showcasing, like the demo game, which is bundled with every PlayStation sold, the Astro's Playroom, is actually, first of all, a pretty decent game in and of itself. And it also does a great job of showcasing the abilities of the new controllers.
I mean, it's high time that PlayStation come close to Xbox on regards to controller design.
Ergonomically, yes, but they actually upped the ante on this because not only does it make it a very ergonomically great controller, it also adds something. It made Xbox controllers pale in comparison, to put it nicely, because Xbox had reached their ergonomic sweet spot starting with Xbox 360. I mean, even Xbox 360 had a very good controller. It was comfortable. It was the right size, the right shape. And it was only small adjustments over the years that made it better. But Xbox Series X's controller is basically exactly Xbox One controllers with only one new button for sharing. That's it. But Sony came and they showed what a next-gen controller can be. And I think we've covered most of the things that should be talked about regarding this new generation, except for the hardware and
the third company. Which
we'll talk about Nintendo too. The hardware, technically, Xbox Series X is slightly more powerful, generally speaking, than PlayStation 5. But you gotta remember that these raw numbers never actually translate into what you see on the screen, and how developers, more importantly, I mean, the most important thing is how developers incorporate these numbers into their games. I mean, if you look at Nintendo 64, it was technically much more powerful than the PlayStation 1. But what made it the loser, in a sense, of that generation was that it played on cartridges. And there are certain delicacies, or I don't know, technicalities to these hardware features that we don't know and only developers know.
Yeah, and just to we don't even need to go that back, like, because even in this generation, like, I mean, the last generation, Xbox One X was the most powerful console.
Yeah,
was
it's
more
actually
powerful
very
than
ridiculously powerful console. Yeah,
but I think the most beautiful game of this generation, I think it was Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I agree.
And
graphically,
graphically, like visually.
Before
and it
people butcher us.
And it was just all the hard work that the developer did, like how good they are to optimize their game. And that's the thing that is going to be matter in this generation as well. Like, and in every generation, and like even in PC games, that's going to be the same.
Yeah, I mean, the end game, in my opinion, is not who has the biggest number. To put it, kind of uncouth, it's not how big your dick is. It's how you use it.
Okay.
If you don't have games to play on your super powerful console, you have nothing. You have numbers that mean nothing. That's the thing I think killed Xbox's last console. It didn't have anything to play on it.
I mean, Gears of War 5 or Gears 5 was actually a pretty decent looking game. It was amazing. I loved it.
How many games did PS4 have?
No, Halo has shitty graphics. Come on. Halo 5 sucked in the graphics department. And it wasn't even a good Halo game. I'm not a Halo person. I don't know about Halos. Actually, I'm planning on experiencing the Halos in the Halo Master Chief Collection this generation. But from the avid Halo players, I've heard that Halo 5 wasn't a good installment in this series.
I mean, the end game, I believe graphically there are improvements probably. I don't know. I'm not very
Of course there are improvements.
But does it matter? At the end of the game,
it does matter. But I'm one of those people that thinks graphics aren't the most important thing in a game. The most important thing in a game is that it should be entertaining and good mechanics and good gameplay.
Experience.
Exactly. For me, it's more story-wise. I'm saying it at the end of the day, who has the better games is going to sell. I
think it's definitely Sony has the better games and better franchises and better IPs.
So at least in the terms of the exclusive content that you are going with Sony. The fact that Xbox is even mentioned is the fact that how good their business plan is. It's more
if there was no Game Pass and if there was no Phil Spencer to take the helm when the sinking ship that was Xbox in 2000, like imagine 2014, you're in charge of Xbox. Every Xbox is sold with a Kinect and you have to use a Kinect with it. And it's basically like it's forsaken. Nobody gives a shit about it. And Phil Spencer really saved this console. And again, this generation without Game Pass and without the acquisition of Bethesda or ZeniMax would have been a very, very lopsided competition. I mean, it would have leaned heavily on PlayStation. And they just took the trump card, not this. Okay, this expression is forever ruined.
Yes, exactly.
The trump card, not this
they
trump.
They took out the ace up
They
their
took
sleeve.
out the ace up their sleeve. Yeah, we lost an expression forever. Goodbye, trump card, because it will never be the same again.
Also, the other side of this conversation.
But we don't want to go into politics. Fuck that.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I'm saying at the end of the day, for gamers, I mean, I don't know why am I even in this conversation, because I am neither an Xbox gamer or a PlayStation gamer.
You're not
I'm
a console
PC gamer.
Yeah, you're
yes,
a PC,
I'm a PC gamer. But even in PC, the games that I look for aren't the ones that, oh my God, we have the new physics engine, and when you hit this guy, it sort of do it very realistically. Because, and I know this is a bit of a tangent, that's what a Stronghold 3 did. It had the better physics engine. It didn't fucking matter. The game was terrible. Yes, the game was terrible. And that's the thing. Raw numbers, I'm pretty sure, are very important for those people who are going to,
raw numbers are good for people that are just trying to, the fans that are trying to throw things. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is 12 teraflops and this is 10.2 teraflops. Suck dick. Yeah. And what kind of a conversation is that?
Round 1, fight.
And one thing I did want to mention is that if you're a developer, there are certain things that no one knows. Like there's this is the getting the hang of it, of developing for a particular video gaming console. Like there's this limitation, the bottleneck in the boss speeds. Like there are certain things that most of us don't even know about until years after a console has been released. Like we now know why Nintendo 64 failed, and we now know why PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. Like there were certain things about them that made some developers happier and made some developers angrier over some things, and we don't know yet. And even the developers themselves know exactly yet. And it's a good thing that starting the last generation, the previous generation actually, these two companies have adopted somewhat exactly similar architectures. It makes the job of developing a game on them and porting the games much easier. I mean, compare that to the days of Xbox 360 and PS3 with that terrible cell architecture.
Sega and Nintendo.
No, I personally think the worst mistake of PlayStation and Sony was the cell architecture. It was a pain in the ass to develop for that console. I mean, if someone is into those stuff, just look up how hard it is to write a Hello World program on an SPU, one of the 8 cores of PlayStation 3. You need like 120 lines to just print Hello World on your screen. That's terrible, because in most languages you get that in 5 or 3 or 2 or even 1 line. And imagine 120 lines for Hello World. And imagine trying to write something for that piece of shit. So I think that's a good thing that both of these are AMD Ryzen CPUs, and even the GPUs are pretty much the same. They use the RDNA instruction sets. It's a good thing.
And I mean, the biggest thing that used to differentiate them a lot was the pricing, which it's getting closer and closer together.
Yeah, right now they are only
a couple hundred
entries into their world. One is entry into exclusives, one is entry into Game Pass. And to wrap this up, because we're nearing the 1 hour mark, let's mention Nintendo. Nintendo is a disruptive player in this field. I mean, they have always had their own area. They have always had their own audience. Nintendo, generally speaking, is more targeted. I mean, it targets kids mostly. Its target audience is mostly kids. And there are also Nintendo fans. I'm myself.
Kids and people like Amir.
Yeah, because the Zelda
people
game.
People who have the mental capacity of kids.
Yeah, exactly. And they usually I mean, the driving force behind the sales of Nintendo Switch, which has been the best-selling console in the past 21 months in North America. I mean, imagine.
To correct you, it's actually 23 months.
Wow, even it's almost 2 years. 2 years in a row, best-selling console. That's not an easy task. And I personally think what drives that number is that first, it's a kids-friendly console, and second of all, it's a family-friendly console. I mean, imagine you want to hang out with family members. I personally have been playing a lot Mario Kart and Cake Bash, and I've actually recently purchased Super Mario Party, because these games you can play with everyone. You can play even with your parents, with your in-laws. These are great games to play at parties and with friends over.
It's the older definition of gaming, that gaming used to be, arcade. It was a social activity.
Exactly. What I wanted to say is that Nintendo games are pure games. I'm one of those people that looks at games as entertainment and gameplay mechanics and innovation and creativity in gaming. Like, how do you make a puzzle in a game? How do you make a game interesting? And I think Nintendo is the clear crowned king of that field. I mean, Nintendo games are extremely creative. Each installment, I mean, to the outsider, they're like, okay, this is the billionth Mario game. This is the millionth Kirby game. But they're all different, believe me. Like, they are all Kirby, they are all Mario, they are all Donkey Kong. But each one of them is extremely different from the previous one, while at the same time it feels the same. I don't know how to describe it, but like on my Nintendo 3DS, I have 4 Kirby games, and they are each one of them so much different from the other one, and each one of them is fun in their own way. And in each one of them, you're like, how did they even come up with this? This is extremely creative and innovative. And it's sad to see many people overlook these titles, because The Last of Us, Uncharted, God of War, these are all good games, but when you're looking at their gameplays, they are riding the hackneyed horse. Like, they are shooters, they are third-party shooters, cover-based shooters. There's no innovation in them. You get tired. I mean, if you take the story and graphics out of many titles these days, they have nothing to show for. But Nintendo games are actually extremely innovative and awesome to play. I encourage people to download emulators and give a try to Nintendo games and understand why they were so good.
But the other side of the coin, at least for me, I have played a few Mario games. I have all of them. I haven't played the big ones, but I have played a few. I haven't played the others. But the thing that, at least for me, as the sort of the gamer that is more story oriented, I like stories in gaming. I like those emotional moments. I don't have any of them while playing a Nintendo game. And okay, I said I am not a console player, but I do have one console. I need to mention that. And it's a Wii. We got it when it came out, and I had good times. I'm not going to lie. I had good times on it, but I was never invested in the game, if you know what I mean. Yeah. In the story, in the world of the game. I was having fun, but...
Yeah, the worlds, I mean, except for Zelda, the rest of them basically almost don't have a story. I mean, they have a world, they have an atmosphere, it's a Mario game, it's a Kirby game, it's a Star Fox game. Although Star Fox is also more story driven, I don't know if you've played it, and Metroid also. But
I have played Metroid, I haven't played Star Fox.
Although Nintendo has a few very heavily story driven games, Xenoblade and Fire Emblem. These are games that people buy consoles for, and these are basic, and Ace Attorney. I know Ace Attorney is available on other platforms too, but it's usually played on Nintendo consoles. It has story-driven games too, but generally speaking, as a gamer, I think Nintendo is the best gaming company out there. Anyhow, one other thing I wanted to talk about is how Apple's arcade service is a direct threat to Nintendo's business plan, because Xbox and Sony are having their own competition in the adult serious games. But with the introduction of Apple arcade games and the new Apple Silicon Max, the fact that you can play all of the games that are on the App Store for iPhones and iPads on your computers very soon, and the fact that you can you can get the subscription for Apple Arcade and you can play it on your phone, on your Apple TV, on your MacBook. You can play it everywhere as long as it's an Apple device. And those games are actually the kind of games that usually Nintendo sells. I mean, Nintendo is selling to the kids, is selling to the family. And guess what? If you're a family in North America who already has an Apple TV or already has a iPad, MacBook, you can
I offer my condolences because you got duped and bought all of those devices, but go on.
Yeah. Instead of, you skip a step, you don't buy a Nintendo Switch and you jump right into family-friendly fun games. And now you can pair your Xbox or PlayStation controllers with your Apple devices, and then you pay $5 a month or even less than that in the Apple One package for Apple Arcade, and you're ready to go. I mean, there are hundreds of games that your kids can play, you can play, and they're fun. And I think this is the biggest threat to Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't and shouldn't give a shit about Microsoft and Sony, but they should give a shit about Apple, because Apple is actually becoming a very scary player in the family and kid-friendly area of the games. And I think that's everything I wanted to talk about.
I just wanted to share something. I think it's fun. I have a list of the best-selling games divided for each console, and I think there's some fun names here. So, starting by Nintendo, best-selling game on Nintendo Wii is Mario Kart 8.
Of course,
Nintendo Switch.
I'm sorry. That was Nintendo Wii U. So it was Mario Kart 8. On Nintendo Switch, million. It was the same.
24 million.
Mario Kart 28, actually. 28.99. Wow.
So far, 40 million copies of Mario Kart 8 have been sold. Wow.
Yeah. And on the original Wii, it was Wii Sports. It was 82 million.
Jesus. It's because it came with the console.
Yeah, it was shipped with the console.
Yeah, because I also have that game, and I've also played it, and it's not a good game.
Yeah.
Wow, you're gonna piss off a lot of people with that statement.
There are some trends here that are very interesting. Like, for example, here we go to Xbox. The original Xbox, the bestseller game was Halo 2. For the Xbox 360,
share the numbers too. 8 million, I think.
Yeah, 8.46.
Yeah, okay, go on.
8.5 million. For Xbox 360, it was Kinect Adventures, as we know why, because it was shipped with the Kinect. It was 24 million copies.
Other than that, it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
No, it's GTA V. It's 17.
On 360?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's around 18 million copies. And and on the third place, it's Halo 3. So it's still an exclusive. On Xbox One, it is interesting. On Xbox One, it is GTA V, only 8.5 million copies. So you see the number of games, like the most sold game is GTA V with 8.5 million. And
it just goes on to show how failed of a console Xbox One has been.
And the first exclusive is actually at the 15th place, which is Halo, the Master Chief Collection, which is 2.9 million.
Wow.
No, it's Halo, the Master Chief.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. There's Halo 5 is actually at 10th. So yeah, I missed that. Yeah. But it's still at 10th.
Halo 5 pissed off a lot of people, apparently.
Yeah.
But like, for example, PUBG sold more than that. PUBG sold 3 million.
Okay, now let's move to PlayStation.
Yeah, so PlayStation 1 is Gran Turismo, 10.8 million copies. And the second place is Final Fantasy 7. Which, of course, it's a great game. PlayStation 2.
And it's remastered, right?
GTA San Andreas.
Remade recently.
Yeah. On PlayStation 2 is 17.3 million copies. And on the second place, Gran Turismo 3. On PlayStation 3, it was GTA V with 21 million copies. And on second place is Gran Turismo 5. And of course, you know...
I didn't know Gran Turismo is such a bestseller. Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people
PlayStation 4, I think you already know what is the number one.
Yeah.
It's
Uncharted.
GTA.
No,
it's GTA 20 millions. Yeah, and then Uncharted is second place, which is actually really interesting because like Uncharted was an exclusive, and like Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption, I
want to just mention something, that the biggest players in the console wars are Microsoft and Sony. Yet for two of the consoles, the best-selling games wasn't even made by them.
Yeah.
It was made by Rockstar.
Rockstar
but you know, that's
man.
the thing. For example, Minecraft. Oh yeah. And this was the last list that I just brought up for PC gamers. The most sold PC game is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, or PUBG.
Of course it is.
It's 42 million copies, and then Minecraft with 33 million.
Well, Minecraft now is a Microsoft property, so at least they bought the game that they saw was selling.
Yeah, and then there is Diablo 3, and then World of Warcraft.
God. It makes me sad because Blizzard is what Blizzard is now. But that's
I think we need to wrap up
we need to wrap up
episode.
I mean, is there something that you wanted to talk about that you didn't, Babak?
Get the chance to?
Well, I want to just mention now, maybe for previous generation, the number of consoles was like a little bit important. But right now, I think the important part is the subscription and everything related to that.
Yeah, I think the important thing is the income out of that brand. The income of PlayStation versus Xbox.
Round 1, fight.
Yeah, you cannot right now say this one has this many units sold.
Clearly, PlayStation will make a lot of money out of their consoles, and Xbox will make a lot of money out of their subscriptions. That's clear.
Yeah, but you have to see
who will make more. We will have to. Sorry, who will make more? We will have to wait and see. Okay, go on.
So, is there anything else? If it's not, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Just last question. No, before you wrap up the podcast, just last question. So I know what is your answer, Ali. So I'm asking this question from Soheil and Amir. So what do you buy for the upcoming generation? And the reason?
Because of the exclusives and because I like PlayStation more. I think I'm biased towards it. I've grown up with a PlayStation. Let's say what our first console was. Mine was a Sega Mega Drive or Genesis. And when I was 3 years old. And that's actually the first thing I played video games on. In 1998, when I was 3 years old, I was playing with my Sega Mega Drive. I was playing Tiny Toons and Sonic, of course, and Sunset Riders. Yeah. And my second console was PlayStation 2.
I'm gonna ask this from Soheil as well. So, what do you?
Yeah, if I want to buy a console, I would buy a PlayStation 5 as well. But I'm not in a rush for it because right now there are just a couple of games that I would like to play them, but I'm not that interested. So maybe in 6 months or a year. And not that you can find a console right now to buy. So even if you want to buy one, you cannot. So
we don't have time to talk about the mess that ordering and pre-ordering these consoles was.
Chaos will rise again.
Yeah.
And what was your first console?
It was a NES, and it was like Super Mario Bros. That was the first game I've ever played, and then Dog Hunt.
So you're a Nintendo guy, and I'm a Sega guy. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you, Babak?
Well, I think I'll buy PlayStation 5, but like Soheil, I will wait because it's too soon to.
And what about your first console?
So it was a Super Nintendo, I think. I don't know if you know but it was like a very unique one. The controller was like wireless. I don't know the version. Yeah, but it was good.
Nice.
Rich maybe boys. A SNES. I don't know.
Yeah, you said Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
Super Famicom or SNES or SNES.
Yeah, SNES, but I didn't see the version online.
And. For me, I will stick with my PC. I will not buy a console.
Of course.
And my first console was my Wii.
And last console was your Wii.
Yeah. Probably if I don't know, I might buy a console somewhere down the line so I can play. And I will definitely buy a PlayStation because I know I can play everything. Yeah, everything Xbox does, I can play on a PC. So. I'm okay.
You need a good graphic card, and it's not very easy.
To be honest, graphics are not that important to me. I know I need
but some games are even for the
it.
lowest settings. You're gonna need a good graphics card.
I know, but the thing is that I'm not that concerned about getting the best graphics. So I will get a good graphic card, and it will probably run for me for like 7-8 years.
Yeah.
I'm just decreasing the graphic quality of the game.
If you want to compare the PC to console, is the price. So yeah, everything is good, but the price is almost. I can say
the value you get out of the price you pay is definitely better on game
right
consoles.
Now with the PlayStation 5, for example, you can buy it for $500.
Yeah, but the thing is that. If you buy a video game console, you're just buying a console designed exclusively for video games.
Yeah.
If I buy a PC, it's not only for video games, it's for video editing.
That's
it's
true.
For a lot of other stuff.
It's for everything. You can't even name them. Yeah. Okay, so you will see us next time. If we don't die, or we have to feel like it to make another episode.
Live long and prosper.
Bye bye.
خب توی مادر قهوه رو صدا کن.
لیف.
اینم بذارین توی پادکستتون که دیگه مادر قهوه.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Yet another shitty podcast. Another shitty podcast. Thank you for listening to our podcast.